Sawubona Mthwakazi omuhle, siyalamukela njalo kwesinye isiqephu sethu sezindaba kumsakazo we-Citizens Movement Radio. Namhla kungoLwesihlanu zingama-28 kuLwezi ngomnyaka ka-2025. Indaba lizethulelwa ngikhethiwe Chuma. Ngesikhangele indaba esihamba phambili kumsakazo we-Citizens Movement Radio. Umayere uthi uhulumende ukhuthaza ukushushumbiswa kwemali ngokubiza imithelo ephezulu emabhanga. Icebo likaMthuli Ncube lokutshintsha umkhonomi emaholeni angama-24 alingeke lifezeke ngenxa yokuhamba kukagetsi, kusho uGono. iZimbabwe ngeke ize ithole ukuphumelela ngenxa yokwephula isisekelo sombuso, kusho uThimba. Ngesikhangele indaba zethu ngokugcweleyo. Owayemela iMount Pleasant egale lePhalamende umhlonitshwa uFatsai Mahere uthi imithelo ephezulu kakhulu le emenyezelwe ngungqongqoshe wezemali emabhanga izolo iphehla ukuba kwenziwe ezokushushumbisa kwemali. uMahere uthi kwamanye amazwe ukufaka imali ebhanga kuyayizalisa, kanti kweleZimbabwe izakhamizi nxa zifaka imali yazo ziyajeziswa ngemithelo ephezulu. Uye wachothoza kakhulu uhulumende ngokushaya indiva kulabo bantu abafana loWicknell Chivayo ababhoda bethwele iziqaba zemali kodwa besephula umthetho wezokubhanga. Siye saxoxisana lalo hlaziya ngezomkhonomi uChenaye Mutambasere oye wangezelela kulokho okukhulunywe nguMahere, kanti njalo wasiphawula esakhe isinqumo ngokuhlelwa kwemali.
I suppose the very first thing to call out in terms of this budget is being clear about what Vision 2030 says versus what the key priorities for the government are. If you look at what they're calling the pillars and how they've allocated the budget according to the pillars, 32% of the whole budget is allocated to good governance, institutional building, peace, and security. This category includes defense, home affairs, and the office of the president cabinet. And you will find that this priority is still the same as we've seen in 2025. If you look at the budget disbursements versus allocation, as at 30 September 2025, the office of the president was disbursed 101% of its budget, versus sectors such as health only receiving 36% of their allocated budget as at 30 September 2025. So there is a priority around security and politics than there is around education, health, in spite of the minister announcing in his statement in Parliament that health is being given 15% allocation of the budget, which is in line with our budget declaration. But we know that even based on 20-25%, what they get allocated is not what gets disbursed. It's not, so long as it's not a key priority for this government. So even though there were claps and whistles in Parliament, the reality for Zimbabweans is that based on what actually happened in 2025, the priority remains the office of the president and defense. Then secondly, in order to achieve Vision 2030, there is a clear need for infrastructure development, whether it's energy, it's roads, it's water. It's not a secret. Zimbabwe needs to do more for its infrastructure. But when you look at the budget deployment to capital expenditure, is only 2.4% of GDP. This is in spite of the fact that even ministries made a modest request, shall I add, of 800 billion ZiG. And I only say it's modest given the scale of what is required. But in spite of that request for budget allocation being around 800 billion, the Treasury has only allocated 253 billion for infrastructure development, which equates to 2% of GDP. So the development agenda is not being funded. It is being sacrificed, whether it is to maintain this supposed fiscal discipline or to be able to meet the requirements of the golden child, which is the office of the president and defense. The informal sector is being hit by a double-edged sword. On one hand, the government is recognizing that we have a buoyant informal sector apparently that is contributing 60% of economic activity. And we saw earlier in the year that this has resulted in an increased GDP. So the GDP has been readjusted based on the economic activity coming out of the informal sector. So clearly, informal sector is very important for the Zimbabwe economy. What we should be seeing then is some more cushioning, building in of resilience into this sector, given its importance and contribution to our economy. But instead, what the budget is doing is introducing more tax on the informal sector. It's introducing more surveillance on the informal sector. And in addition, where they are saying there's no tax compliance, there's heavy penalties. And yet, we know that the informal sector, income from the informal sector, whether it's the market women, the commuter operators, any kind of hustle that is happening in the economy, the hustler economy, there's no resilience. If I'm not, and so the income is not consistent. If I am not well, today, I cannot turn up at my market stall tomorrow. I do not have employers that I can send in my place. I do not have sick pay to replace. If there's any form, anything is stolen, there's any form of disaster, there's been a fire, or anything like this, or there's no cushion or resilience in the informal sector. So to really come at it with this heavy hand of tax is essentially penalizing low income households even further and pushing them even more towards the brink of extreme poverty that they are already in. So on that point as well, in terms of the tax penalties on low income households, the tax that is being presented on your own money, that to withdraw money, if you're withdrawing more than $500, there's a 2% charge, and above that there's a 3% charge. So how it's a double tax, right? So if I have earned my money and I have been taxed through other means, why am I being taxed to use it? Not only is this double taxation, but it's also it hurts the ordinary person, especially the small businesses who rely on cash and do not have the offshore accounts. They do not have, they're not part of the elite economy. So, and they're the ones that will get penalized by this. So it actually promotes a parallel economy that is away from banking, right? So I'm just going to keep my money in my pillowcase, because if I put it in the bank and trying to withdraw it, then this is going to be a problem. And we know that the only reason that this is being promoted is to encourage the digital surveillance for tax purposes. But also we know that there's been a lot of retention that happens at the point of your bank account. So the government will retain and offer you that money back in local currency, and even that isn't happening. The government still holds a huge backlog of arrears in this aspect. Okay, so there's a celebration, and there was a celebratory kind of mode, just watching the minister presenting the budget and talking about the 0.2% deficit. But this is not the real deficit, right? We have seen that if you read the public debt report, it's telling us about domestic arrears of money that is owed to local service providers. We're looking at domestic arrears that have moved from $34 million to $1.3 billion in 9 months. Now that is a huge increase, and this should be more reflected in the deficit when we speak of deficit, because these are unpaid bills to suppliers. Many of them are local traders, local SMEs, which means that essentially the state is balancing the book based on money that doesn't belong to it. It's a false economy. It's a hidden deficit, and it forces business to become more unwilling to work with government. It's also worth mentioning the public debt crisis. Zimbabwe's total public debt has now been reported as 23 billion, which we knew earlier only from the IMF. So it's good that Treasury is now giving us that true figure. Of that, external arrears alone are 7.7 billion, of which 2.5 billion are penalties. This is the extent to which we are not being able to meet our obligations. I've spoken already about the domestic debt that has shot up. 1/3 of domestic debt is now linked to the global compensation deed, which is the compensation to farmers following the Jambanja land reform. The debt maturities in US dollars are very high. Over 400 million are due every year from 2026 to 2034. The government is admitting that it can't pay. and it plans to roll these debts over. This is refinancing by necessity, not by choice. Zimbabwe is a classic case of a country in debt distress without any signals of us being able to address this in the foreseeable future over the next 5 to 10 years. So when we are speaking, when you then put this against the backdrop of us having a 55 billion GDP, which is currently the strongest economy in the region, it doesn't make sense. Something is not adding up. We must also make mention of the assumptions that are being used to calculate the growth in GDP. The budget is assuming that, for instance, in agriculture, that we're going to have a good rain season. But yet we've seen that because of the issues that we have with climate change, which is recognized in the budget, because of the fact that our infrastructure development has not been able to create adaptive methods in terms of meeting the risks presented by climate change, we really have no business stating this as a likelihood assumption. There's also the assumption of the strong mining. Now, what's is a mystery is the fact that we have global commodity prices. Gold, for example, is increasing. It's doing really well. And yet, when you look at our performance in mining between 2024 and 2025, it's actually going down. We are in decline in that sector. So what is happening globally is not representative of what will happen in Zimbabwe. So that assumption to me is flawed. It's also talking about a stable currency. Both our inflation figures, whether it's in US dollars or is in ZiG, they are both in double digits. So that is not stability. You cannot speak of stable inflation when you're speaking of double-digit inflation figures. So that stability assumption again is flawed. So these assumptions are not realistic. They are beyond aspirational. And one climate change shock away from achieving the growth that is being stated in this.
Owayemela ilobhengula makwekwe etalele ephalamende u-Eric Gono uthi akufezeki ukuba ilizwe libe lomkhonomi osebenza amahola angama-24 njengoba ugesi ehamba kokuphela elizweni. UGono uye wathi uhulumende kumele abhekisise udaba lukagesi elizweni ukuze kube lendlela yokuletha impumelelo. Uye wasola njalo ibandla leZANU-PF ngokwehluleka ukugcwalisa isithembiso sabo abasenza ngomnyaka ka-2018 kuyiwa ekhetheni elokukhanyisa ilizwe lonke. Isiphathamandla sebandla eliphikisayo uSeneta uJemerson Timba uthi i-National Development Strategy 2 emenyezelwe nguhulumende ibukeka ithembisa kanti njalo isingaletha iphupho elihle kodwa ingeke ifezeke ngokwephula isisekelo sombuso. UTimba uthi udaba luka-2030 selulethe ukungahlaliseki elizweni kanti njalo kuyaxosha labantu abafisa ukuzokwenza amabhizinisi kuleli lizwe. Ake sizweni uTimba ekhuluma.
Fellow Zimbabweans, government has announced 10 priorities under the NDS2 or National Development Strategy 2. Priorities that on paper speak to growth, jobs, devolution, and good governance. But here is the truth. No national plan can succeed while the ruling party seeks to tear up the constitution to extend power to 2030. We cannot build an inclusive economy while institutions are captured. You cannot promote devolution when it remains ignored. You cannot speak of good governance when elections face interference and ZEC is mistrusted by the majority. Zimbabwe needs constitutionalism, accountability, and genuine reform, not a 2030 power retention agenda. Our constitution is our future, and we will defend it.
Isizalwane saseZimbabwe esilwela amalungelo abantu ekwele Sweden uSophia Thekwani kubikwa wadliwengulwa duze lamahhovisi aseZimbabwe kwele Stockholm ngembiko ekhishwe yi-Law and Democracy Support Foundation. Lesi sigameko senzakala ekupheleni komnyaka ka-2024. Inhlanganiso leyi yangezelela ngokuthi uThekwani lomdeni wakhe sebethole imilayezo ebethusayo kunombolo lezi ezisebenza ukusebenza emahofisini yaseZimbabwe. Ekhuluma lo msakazo we-Citizens Movement Radio lo Palma izolo, uSophie uthi sebemcebise ukuba ake acashe okwesikhatshana baze babanjwe labo bantu abenza ukuganga. Uye wabonga njalo umsakazo we-Citizens Movement Radio ngokumnikeza usekelo kanye lamacebo. Namhla lusuku lwesine lokunanza insuku ezili-16 zokulwisana lodlame ngobulili. Kusenjalo umama uSenetha uBongai Thome onakekela izakhamizi uye wamemezela ukuba kakuqedwe udlame lapho athe sekwanele. Uye wathi udlame lobulili lwephula amalungelo abantu, njalo uye wathi uza kuqeda lokhu kwenza kuba kube lodlame kanye lalabo abafuqa udlame ikakhulu kumantombazana labesifazana. Umama uThome lethimba lakhe baye bathi baza kusekela labo abahlaselwayo ngalolu dlame, kanti njalo benze lemithetho eza kubavikela ukuze umphakathi uvikeleke kungabi lokwesaba. Ake simzweni ekhuluma.
Fellow citizens, I greet you all. And today we stand united as the Citizens Welfare Team. We believe in the able leadership of Advocate Nelson Chamisa to demand an end to the scourge of gender-based violence. We say enough is enough. Gender-based violence is not just a women's issue, it's a human rights issue. It's a threat to our dignity, our rights, and our very existence. I will no longer tolerate a society where women and girls live in fear of violence. We will not be silenced by patriarchal norms. We will not be deterred by lack of action. We will rise, we will speak out, and we will continue to demand justice. As citizens who believe in Advocate Nelson Chamisa's leadership, we commit to creating a society where everyone can live free from fear and oppression. We will continue to support survivors, challenge harmful norms, and advocate for policies that protect women's rights. Let us march together, united in the quest for a gender-based violence-free society. Let us rise above the noise and demand change. Let us show the world that we care and that we can act and that we will not be silenced as we commemorate the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, day number 4. Stop GBV. Hashtag the new rise, and God is in it. I thank you.
Inhlanganiso yezimseki simemezele ukuba imphumela kaGrade 7 isiphumile kanti njalo isitholakala ebulenjini. Kusenjalo ungqongqoshe wezemfundo ebheke imfundo ephansi lephezulu uThorerai Moyo uthi ukuphuma kwale mphumela ngokwesithathu iminyaka elandelana lapho kungazange kube lamaphepha aphuma ngudlu. Uhulumende usekhuthaze ukuba aphendukise umthetho lo owawusithi sidla esikubuleleyo kwezomkhonomi lo owalethwa ngulo wayengungqongqoshe wezemali uTendai Biti ngesikhathi sikahulumende womanyano. Lokhu kuye kwatshiwo ngusaziwayo kwezomnotho uProfessor uGift Mugano lapho ebephawula ngokukhula kwezikwelede elizweni okumenyezelwe ngungqongqoshe wezemali uMthuli Ncube izolo ngesikhathi thula ukuhlelwa kwemali. uProfessor Mugano uthe uhulumende kumele aphungule ukusetshenziswa kwemali elizweni ukuze ephule izikwelede ezikhona phakathi langaphandle kwelizwe. Ngesikhangele kwezemidlalo, iqembu labomama elebhola lezandla abaziwa ngokuthi ama-Gems banqotshwe 42-56 bedlala leqembu laseWales izolo emidlalweni ye-Celtic Cup kwele-Scotland. Umdlali odlule abanye emidlalweni le uPrudence Sibanda ubedlala ngokwakuqala kuqembu lama-Gems. Namhlanje ngemva kwemini ama-Gems aza kubhekana leNamibia ngehola lesine lengxenye. Ukusenjalo iqembu leZimbabwe labomama elenguqu iMighty Warriors baza kubhekana leMalawi emidlalweni ye-Three Nation Tournament eza kudlalelwa eLilongwe kweleMalawi. Umdlalo lo uza kuqala ngehola lesihlanu. Sibafisela inhlanhla. Iqembu laseHarare Dynamos likhangelelwe ukuba lithathe amahlandla amathathu elandelana lapho libhekana leTriangle United emdlalweni weChibuku Super Cup Final kusasa. Umdlalo lo walonyaka uza kudlalelwa enkundleni yeKipo. Abadlali beDynamos kubikwa bale ukuzilungiselela imidlalo kule iviki ngenxa yokungabhadalwa izikwelete zabo. Iqembu leTriangle selike lanqoba kuChibuku Super Cup Final ngomnyaka ka-2018 lapho lidlala leHarare City. Ngemva kosuku olulodwa eChile, umqeqeshi uTonderai Ndiraya obeqeqesha iScotland usememezele ukuba uza kuhlanganyela kuqembu le-FC Platinum njengomqeqeshi. Indawo yakhe iza kuthathwa nguNorman Mapheza. UMapheza kubikwa eza kuthola iholo elingange-10,000 edoleni leMelika nyanga zonke, kanti njalo uye wathola imali yokusayina engange-100,000. Eminye imbiko ithi uMabeza uke waba lengxoxiswano leqembu leCaps United kodwa wasehluthunwa ngulo omnikazi weqembu leScotland. Kuza kuba ngenye impelaviki enkulu kumdlalo ye-English Premier League lapho i-Arsenal ikhangelelwe ukuba idlale leChelsea eStamford Bridge ngeNsonto. Nansi eminye imidlalo ekhangelelwe kule impelaviki. iBrentford iza kubhekana leBurnley, iSunderland yona la iza kubhekana leBurnley, Manchester City iza kubhekana leLeeds United, i-Everton iza kubhekana leNewcastle, Tottenham iza kubhekana leFulham, Crystal Palace iza kubhekana leManchester United, West Ham iza kubhekana leLiverpool, iNottingham Forest yona iza kubhekana leBrighton, bese kusithi Aston Villa ibhekane leWolves. Ukuziphetha lezi ndaba kumsakazo weCitizens Movement Radio nganze bezihamba phambili. Omayere uthi uhulumende uphehlwa ukushushumbisa kwemali ngenxa yemithelo ephezulu emabhanga. Umthuli Ncube iphupho lakhe lokuba lo mkhonomi osebenza amahola angama-24 angeke ufezeke ngenxa yokuhamba kukagetsi, kusho uGono. iZimbabwe ngeke ize ithole ukuphumelela ngenxa yokwephula isisekelo sombuso, kusho uThimba. Siziphetha lapha lezi ndaba.